Leader of the Opposition will begin his question again. It's going to be heard in absolute silence.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. The government's been caught flat-footed and asleep at the wheel since the High Court decision on the 8th of November. The seriousness of this matter includes the release of one high-risk offender into the community, potentially a rapist, potentially a child sex offender. The government refuses to provide any detail. Can the Prime Minister update the Australian public what risk there is to them, and what detail does he have to give some assurance to the Australian people that this individual will be brought back into custody as soon as humanly possible?
Prime Minister has the call. The Leader of the Opposition will resume his seat. The Prime Minister has the call.
I thank the Leader of the Opposition for his question and his dexterity in pointing out who was flat-footed when they ran out of questions after 4 today. The fact is this. In the months leading up to the High Court's decision, the government was preparing for the possibility of the Court's decision overturning coalition government legislation with community safety as our primary focus. And that is what enabled the government to respond quickly, to engage with police and officials.
The Prime Minister will pause. The member for Bowman has been constantly interjecting. He'll leave under 94A. There is a general warning. It's not a free-for-all. People just can't feel that they can just say what they want when they want. Constantly. Prime Minister in continuation.
That is what enabled senior ABF officials to brief local, state and territory police counterparts on the possible implications of the case to establish Operation AEGIS in November. We then, of course, did have to comply with the High Court decision overturning coalition government legislation, but we applied strict visa conditions and monitoring requirements to the cohort, including daily reporting requirements.
The Prime Minister is answering directly the question with detail, so I'll give, out of courtesy, I'll give the Leader of the Opposition the call, but he's going to state the point of order and not give commentary during his statement.
Well, Mr Speaker, it's on relevance, and you've made a point in relation to relevance. I'm happy to address that issue that you've raised. I asked the question, quite a serious question of the Prime Minister, about an individual who is at large in the Australian community at the moment. The government refuses to provide detail about whether this person is a sex offender, a pedophile, somebody who is involved in serious... And the Prime Minister owes the Australian people...
Prime Minister was talking directly about the High Court decision on 8th. Order! 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 Under the standing orders, the Prime Minister must be relevant to the question. Order. The member for Gellibrand. Prime Minister in continuation.
Yes, the Minister for Immigration just pointed out the High Court required the release of individuals with similar circumstances to NZYQ who took the case. If NZYQ had have been deported instead of being granted permission to apply for a visa by the person who was the minister at the time, the Leader of the Opposition, none of this would have occurred. None of this would have occurred. None of this would have occurred because he wouldn't have been able to take the legal action. He asks about people. I just quote from 26th of April 2018. Detainees at immigration detention centres on Australian shores have successfully escaped more than 80 times on the former government's watch. More than 80 times between 2013 and 2018. Now, lest you don't think that's 80 people,
Order.
It's more than that. It's more than that because the total number of detainees who escaped detention during the period would be higher because some reported incidents have involved more than one person.
Order.
12th of November 2014, an underworld figure capable of extreme violence is on the run after escaping from a Victorian detention centre he was being held in as he awaited deportation from the country. Minister for Immigration and Border Protection, Scott Morrison, confirmed the breakout. I can confirm. 2 adult male detainees absconded from the Maribyrnong Immigration Detention Centre earlier today with outside